Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lesson 8 in the Foundations of Algebra course. We spent a lot of time lately talking about the operations, namely addition and multiplication. And in the past couple of lessons, we've really explored the power of multiplication, and we've seen a lot of what it can do. We've seen some applications that we use multiplication to make sense of, but multiplication is so incredibly powerful that there are applications all over the place in places you might not even think of that we use multiplication to solve. And we were going to talk about one of those today. Let's talk about fractions of numbers. And here's a story that'll motivate it. Let's say there are 6 puppies in a litter. So a dog has given birth to 6 puppies. 1/3 of them are brown. How many are brown? So what this is really coming down to is understanding what 1/3 of 6 is. Now, to make sense of it, you probably remember this, but we can use our bars to help us understand this. Fraction bars have been great so far. So let's go to them and see what they can tell us. So here are 6, one for each puppy. And we know how to do 1/3 of something, right? We break it up into 3 equal parts. I'm going to circle those here. And then we keep one of those parts, 1/3, right? So I'm going to shade in the bars in that one part. I mean, if I strip the red away, you can see we've got 2 bars shaded in. So 2 puppies are brown. So 1/3 of 6 is really 2. By the way, if we had done 2/3 of 6, we would have started it just the same. Okay, there's the 6 bars, thirds, 3 equal pieces. And now we're going to keep 2 of those groups. So 1, 2. Pull the grouping symbols away, and it looks like we have 4. So 4 puppies. 2/3 of 6 is 4. I don't know if we were still talking puppies, but that's never a bad thing. Now, here's the deal. Fraction bars are great, but we can't be drawing fraction bars for all these problems, right? There's just no time. They help us make sense of it, but we need to understand what's really going on here numerically. And it turns out that fractions of numbers, it's really about multiplication. That's what's happening here. In fact, 2/3 of 12 really just means 2/3 times 12. Okay? That of means times. Well, we can do this. We can do 2/3 times 12, no problem. Just remember there's we can write 12 as 12 over 1, first of all. And then we can just multiply straight across. These numbers aren't so big. So 24 over 3 and 24 divided by 3 is 8. All right, so 2/3 of 12 is 8. All right, how about 4/7 of 21? Well, same deal. That's 4/7 times 21 over 1. Okay, I'll write it like that. Now, the numbers still aren't that bad, but let me just remind you of something. We can take advantage of the commutative property sometimes to help us simplify before we multiply. And I see it would be nice to get that 21 and 7 together because I could simplify that pretty quickly, right? So let's use the commutative property and commute the top factors. So 4 times 21 is 21 times 4. You got that. Now, 21 over 7, well, that's just 3 over 1 times 4 over 1. And I don't know why I'm saying over 1 so much. That's really just 3 times 4 or 12. All right? This kind of application, the fraction part, the fraction of, is often given as a percent. Okay, so we need to be able to handle that as well. So 15% of 40, we understand what that means. It's 15 hundredths times 40 over 1. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take advantage of the commutative property again. Let me switch 15 and 40, that order, because 40 hundredths we can simplify to just 2/5. And then we can multiply straight across. By the way, if you wanted to do another commutative move with the 15 and the 5, go for it. But the numbers aren't so bad. So 2 times 15 is 30, 5 times 1 is 5, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. All right, so we're good to go. Looking really good. There is an option though. 15% of 40, that was pretty smooth. But sometimes people like to work with decimals instead of fractions. So now that we've got decimals under our belt so well, 15 hundredths, we could use the decimal form of that number. We could write it as 0.15. times 40. That's 15 hundredths in decimal form. Well, to do that multiplication, we just set them up. 0 times that, I don't need to do any of the multiplication. I'll just put the 0 down. And now 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 2 is 6. And I've got 1, 2 decimal places in the factors that I'm multiplying. So I need 1, 2 decimal places in the answer. So that's just 6. Wait, of course it is. Because we just did it on the previous slide, right? In fraction form, we got 6, and we got the same thing, of course, using the decimals. So feel free, okay? Whichever one you feel more comfortable with, you can choose. Now, let me just say one last time. Fractions of numbers is all about multiplication, all right? There's something that's kind of related to this, and it's this sort of application where you have something out of that kind of language. And I'll just give you an example. It's easier than talking about it. Let's say a basketball player hit 3 out of 8 shots. What fraction of the 8 shots did he make? Well, we don't need to get too crazy with this. 3 out of 8 shots, it's the fraction 3/8. That's the fraction that he made, 3/8. Okay, so again, let's make sense of this. It's that simple, okay? But let's just make sure it's right. We're claiming he made 3/8 of the shots, so we could check it. We could check it by sort of setting this up. We want to know, is that the fraction of 8 that will give us 3? So in other words, does 3/8 work in there? By the way, in this kind of example, can you sort of see where we're looking for the fraction? Our answer is going to be the fraction of the number as opposed to the answer, the 3 in the last ones. Okay, well, let's see if this is right. Does 3/8 times 8 equal 3? Well, if you just take a second to do that work. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a commutative thing. Look at that. That's nice. 8 over 8 is 1. 1 times 3 is just 3. Yep, you bet. That is the right answer. 3/8. That's what we needed. Very nice. Okay? So for example, in a class, 13 out of the 23 kids in the class are boys. What fraction of the 23 kids are boys? Automatic. 13/23. All right? So the answer would be 13/23 of the kids are boys. Okay? It's just, you just make that fraction out of the two parts. 13 out of 23, 13/23. All right, here's another one. Slightly different though. Look at what they're asking. In a pet store, 6 out of the 24 pets are dogs. What percent of the pets are dogs? All right, well, right away, we know the fraction, right? 6/24. But that's not what they asked for this time, if you notice. Not exactly. They asked what percent of the pets are dogs. So we're looking for, or they're looking for, a fraction, but in hundredths, right? Percent. So we need to convert our fraction there into percents. The first things first, 6/24, that's just 1/4, right? You simplify that by factoring out the 6 from top and bottom. And 1/4, that's a famous percent. We know that one. That's 25%. So what that means is 25% of the pets are dogs. All right. So when they asked for a fraction, we gave them the fraction. When they asked for a percent, we've got to make sure that we're giving them a fraction in hundredths or a percent. All right. Here's another one. Same kind of idea as the last one, but this time, look, the numbers are not going to be as nice as that last example. We'll see it in a second. In a pet store, 8 out of 9 pets are dogs. What percent of the pets are dogs? This time, round to the nearest percent. All right, same setup as before. We know the fraction that are dogs is 8/9. 8/9 of the pets are dogs. But this time, I'm not going to be able to convert so easily into percent. So what I'll do is I'll just divide. All right, let's do this division. Let's take 8 and divide it by 9. Well, 9 does not go into 8, so let me take advantage of the decimal, dropping a decimal point and putting a 0 down. Now, 9 goes into 80, you bet. 8 times, right? 8 times 9 is 72. Subtract, and I get 8. Ooh, wait, I saw that before. All right, well, I think that means we're going to have a repeating decimal. Look at this, 9 into 80. Yes, 8 times again. 8 times 9 is 72. Subtract, we get 80. Guys, this is just going to repeat. It's going to be 0.88888, right, as a decimal. So here's where we are. Well, because they want us to round it to the nearest percent, to the nearest hundredth, what I'm going to do, so here's my number in the hundredth place. I'm going to look to the digit to the right of it. It's 5 or higher, so I should round my hundredth digit up. So let's make this about 0.89. Okay, or in other words, 89%. So 89% of the pets are dogs. Looking okay? Beautiful. That's it for today. Okay, short and sweet. Want to give you plenty of time to work on this on your own and together with your colleagues. So have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Take care, guys.